About 2 weeks ago, I opened on this platform that William Samoei Ruto was laying an elaborate plan to rig the Kibra elections in favor of Donald Mariga, and that he had activated his rigging machinery for Kibra. And for those who watched that video, in case you didn't watch it, I'm going to share the link here. But for those who watched that video, I indicated that one of the strategies was to use the IEBC register to rig that elections, and that there were plans which were actually confirmed by ODM party of injecting or adding 9,000 votes into that register. And yesterday, the ODM party, the ODM members of parliament, issued a press statement over the rigging strategies by IEBC. And that statement by the ODM party elicited a lot of reactions from Kenyans. There are Kenyans, especially those in Jubilee side, who read panic in the move by the ODM party. And there were those from the ODM party who were just surprised and believed that probably kiti imeenda. But when I read that statement, I realized that the ODM party wanted to achieve specific political objectives. And those four demands by the ODM party, if you read them clearly, they are intended to help the ODM party achieve those specific objectives. Now, before we go into the details about those specific demands which ODM party made to the IEBC, I want us to go through what I think were the objectives of that statement by the ODM party. In my view, the ODM party wanted to achieve 3 political objectives. The first political objective is that they wanted to let the IEBC know that they are red alert. For those who have been following the ODM party and its operations, especially from the last general elections, the ODM party has been very alert, especially how they are dealing with the IEBC. In fact, were ODM party or NASA for that matter not alert, they would not have won the presidential petitions. And that's exactly what they are applying here. You see, the day IEBC bent the rules to include the name of Mariga as one of the aspirants, that's the day ODM party's eyes were opened. They realized that IEBC was not up to something good. And from that point, they started monitoring each and every move by the IEBC. Let me just explain a bit. On 20th, because Mariga was not supposed to contest. He registered after the deadline had lapsed. There's no way around that. But ODM did not contest that. They never followed that issue with the IEBC. They left it. But their eyes were opened. And on 20th of September, the ODM party, through Oduro Mwen, wrote a letter to the IEBC. And they wanted just one thing, the IEBC register. But IEBC never responded. It took 10 days. Then after 10 days, ODM party wrote a second letter. And now they wrote this letter through the Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna. And after writing that letter, IEBC never responded. That was on 30th September. Then on 2nd, they wrote the letter with these specific demands. And this letter was penned through Rachir and Amolo advocates. That's a serious law firm. And the moment IEBC received this letter, they realized now there was something. These guys were serious. And the IEBC now responded to the ODM party. And they told ODM party, you guys need to pay 15,000. so that you can get this register. And the ODM party then now wrote another letter now, confirming that they had paid this fee through Otiende Amolo advocates. And that's where the problems of IEBC now began. Because Otiende Amolo was involved in the presidential petition, the moment they received the letter from Otiende Amolo, that's when now they started getting worries. That was on 3rd. But they never responded again. I think they were still doing ukarabati. Because as a matter of fact, there was the IEBC register, the official register, as at 2017. And then there was the official register, which excluded the name of Makwiny and Mariga. For those who remember the returning officer for Kibra saying Mariga was not registered. No, that register was also there. And that's the register which is going to be used. And in that register, nothing much had been tampered with. Then they didn't respond. And then on 8th, now yesterday, the ODM parliamentary group meeting issued specific demands to the IEBC again. And now on that day, the IEBC then now responded to the ODM party. And in their response to the ODM party, the IEBC seemed to have been cornered. And they now used the register, which the returning officer had confirmed. And in that register, there were only, let me just refer to my computer, there were only 118,276 registered voters. And in that register, the only people who have registered since the last election up to today were 333. And then there were voters who were transferred from point A to point B, were only 44. There were a number of transfers within the constituencies, which were only 22 in number. So basically, this register is the true register, according to the IEBC. And this is the register which the ODM party wanted. Because between the time McDonald registered, after the seat was declared vacant, from the time the seat was declared vacant, up to the time McDonald Mariga registered, over 9,000 people had registered in Kibra. And these people, 5,000 were transferred from Langata to Kibra. And another 1,000 were transferred from Dagoretti South, the constituency for KJ, John Kiaria, were also transferred from that constituency to Kibra. And that's where the ODM party were keen on. So the ODM party are simply telling IEBC that we are alert. That's the first political objective. The second political objective, which ODM party wanted to achieve, in my view, they wanted to incite their voters in Kibra by mentioning the name of IEBC and electoral injustices. That's something which is so dear to the people of Kibra. And you only need to remind them of this speech by the late Gerald Otieno Kajwang. Let's listen to Kajwang briefly.
Niseme ya mwisho. Na hii nasema kwa Kiingereza. IEBC as presently constituted cannot preside over a free and fair election. It must be disbanded and be restructured in a dialogue of the people of Kenya. Na ukikataa tutakutana na tutakanyagana. Wapwani oriti huru.
Now, that statement by ODM yesterday actually incited the ODM supporters, and you could feel it, because most of Mariga supporters, based on their strategies, which I'm going to explain in probably my subsequent video, was part of that rigging. The initial rigging strategy was psychological warfare to convince people that Mariga is a serious candidate in Kibra. Personally, I've maintained, and I still maintain today, that Mariga is not a factor in Kibra politics. The Kibra politics is going to be between two individuals, Eliud Owalo of ANC and Imran Okoth. Probably the other guy could be Butachi, the guy, the Ford Kenya guy, who is also doing so well, is good at speaking. But McDonald Mariga is psychological war. Because if you count the people who have gone to William Ruto's office, current home, are even more than the registered number of voters in Kibra. So what are those people doing in those meetings? Probably nothing. So the fact of the matter remain that the ODM party wanted to incite their supporters. And being Kibra being the backbone or the stronghold of Baba, probably that's something they've succeeded in. And I can assure you that in the coming few days, we are going to expect a lot. And lastly, the ODM just wanted to confirm the register. They wanted to know that if IEBC are going to use a register, which register is it? Simple. And they were going to tell their people that if you see anybody who is not a resident of this place, who never voted in the last election here, was never registered here, and there are many, tire. That's something I know probably was in the cards. So ODM party wanted to achieve 3 political objectives by that statement. The first objective was to let IEBC know that they are alert after they were surprised by that inclusion of Mariga. Number 2, they wanted to incite the voters. That's a way of mobilizing the ODM supporters. And lastly, they wanted to know the register. So now they've done that. Now let us look at the specific demands. What was ODM really demanding from IEBC? Do they really make sense? Let me just refer to my computer. I'm just opening it here. Let me just read it for you. Okay. This is the statement they issued. I'll just go to those specific. I'll just go straight to the specific demands. Okay. It's coming up here. Now, they are saying this prompted the party through Rachir and Amolo advocates to write another letter to the electoral body on 2nd October. This is after what I had explained, after the executive director's letter or Durongwen, Edwin Sifuna without response. Now, the letter by Rachir is what included those specific demands. And our lawyer letter sought the following from IEBC. The first thing they sought was to provide a full list of all persons registered as voters in Kibra constituency by 2017. They just wanted to know, by 2017, how many people were registered? Because they had the IEBC register as per the petition. So they just wanted to know the number. So that if that number will not match, because of course if people are transferring to a constituency, people are registering outside the constituency, it should be uniform across the country. There's no way people can only register to Kibra. So I think this is what scared the IEBC. So that was the demand. The second demand is to provide a list of all persons registered as voters since 2017 to date, including the dates and the centers of registration. Do you think IEBC would have provided this list with a new register where 9,000 people were just registered from nowhere? Because the ODM party wanted to know if these guys registered, what's their names, the dates they registered, because most of them registered after the seat was declared vacant. So which means they cannot be part of this voting block. So that's why IEBC now decided, okay, these guys are going to take this thing seriously. So they left out those names because they wanted to see how many and the dates and the centers, because most of them were just across Langata, those constituencies, those polling centers across Langata, and then there were also those polling centers across Dagoretti South. Those where most of the transfers were done. And if you listen to the IEBC statement today, together with the ODM statement, which they jointly issued, something is also strange. Something strange is also happening. These guys had actually changed polling stations. And ODM and probably the NC candidate must be very careful, because probably they are changing these voting centers from stronghold of ODM to other strongholds, or the stronghold of the ANC party to the stronghold of some other candidates. So the ODM party must also be very careful here. The ANC candidate must be very careful. Number 3, they wanted IEBC to provide full details of all those registered on transfer since declaration of the vacancy to date. You get that? Specifying the constituency which their votes were transferred from. This is also very critical. They wanted to know how many people have registered in Kibra from the time this seat was declared vacant. Because most of these 9,000 people were registered after the seat was declared vacant. So someone wanted to use them to rig the elections. So ODM is saying, we want to know these people. Which constituencies were they transferred from? Because the law is also very clear. Once a seat has been declared vacant, that register is closed. So there's supposed to be no registration in that constituency, and that's why Mariga was registered outside Starehe. And while they were registering Mariga in Starehe, IEBC were also busy registering certain people in Kibra. And lastly, number 4, to provide the full updated manual and electronic register of voters, which will be used on 7th of November. So I think ODM party, as much as I've read the comments from Kipnyuva Murkomen, from Harold Cheruiyot, and from many people, thinking ODM was cornered in this matter. Personally, I don't think so. ODM was not cornered. ODM just wanted to achieve specific political objectives, and they've achieved those political objectives. I don't know what you think. And if you're bumping on this video for the first time, the best thing you can do is to hit the subscribe button so that anytime we produce another video, you get notified. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. I've been in Nairobi for the last 2 days, and I'm back in Kisumu, and I hope to produce more videos. And the only request I make on this platform from you guys is just to do me a favor, to help me create interactions. You can do that by dropping your comment. What you think about this ODM strategy? Is it panic? Is it specific objectives which I've just highlighted? Or why is ODM issuing statement? Thank you guys. And if you're bumping on this video for the first time, just as I said, hit the subscribe button right away. Thank you guys, and please may you have a wonderful day. Thank you.